and today I will talk to you about genetic testing for detection of incurable disease. Have you ever thought what will happen if you found out that you will suffer later a genetic disease? Genetic tests are medical tests that determine changes in chromosomes, genes, and proteins. Changes in these structures containing a large amount of information can produce different types of diseases or defects. These tests provide the necessary information to confirm the probability that each individual has to develop certain disease, such as terminal conditions. Terminal diseases are illnesses to which no cures have been discovered. Therefore, these conditions lead people to death. Genetic testing allows people to learn more about themselves. Moreover, they have been of great benefit to humanity, as they have allowed people to take action against diseases or disorders that can be controlled or treated, and thus ensure a higher quality of life. Despite the great help that these tests have made in science, they can bring certain dilemmas and ethical problems. Knowing that you have a terminal illness for which there is no known cure could be threatening to the life of any individual. That is why the genetic testing for future suffering from an incurable disease could change a way of life negatively. One negative way in which genetic testing can change lifestyle is affecting the psychology of people. If someone discovers that he has a fatal disease for which no cure has been discovered, the impact of the news could affect the person emotionally and may develop depression or suicidal thoughts. Knowing this can bring mental conflicts where the individual feels limited and unable to meet their long-term goals. Moreover, if that person discovers that has an hereditary disease, he may suffer because someone else in the family could also develop the disease. Well, the simple fact of being aware that life will end by a deadly disease and not being able to do anything about it is painful and frustrating. For example, what will happen if your family has a high incidence of Alzheimer's cases and you are interested in knowing if you will suffer at some point this disease? Knowing that you have a disease like this will not be recommended. Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative disease that destroys the learning and memory centers in the brain. It's not worth to know that you possess DNA mutation that causes this disease if there is no discovered cure for this condition. If someone discovers that is positive to this test, that individual will constantly live with the worry that at some point will forget everything. As a consequence, he will not appreciate life because it's mortifying to know what will happen in the future. On the other hand, genetic testing brings some negative effects in terms of intrusion of the privacy of individual genetic information. The privacy of genetic information is extremely important, as this is the single most intimate identity of every living being. There are different types of discrimination that people can suffer when others know that they have deficiencies in their genetic information. In the future not distant, obtaining genetic information will be available to everyone. Therefore, what will happen if for any job requirements one must submit one's genetic information to? An event like this will be highly discriminative because the evaluators will determine all the deficiencies and focusing on that will decide whether the applicant is qualified for that job. A procedure like this will be unethical and unfair. Moreover, it will not only be detrimental to employment but also in the choice of partners. It could be the case that someone avoids staying with a person for the simple fact that this individual will suffer a disease or has certain weakness. Other types of discrimination could be carried out in schools, health insurance, or alteration of social relations. These new discoveries bring great progress in science, but they can also bring ethical issues such as those mentioned above. Genetic testing has revolutionized medicine. As mentioned before, these tests have helped controlling certain diseases. In the future, they will be available to anyone. They will give a huge turn to genetic information, revealing the DNA mysteries enclosed in everyone. Thus, one should have the right to decide that type of disease will be studied. It's not recommended to use these tests for the detection of terminal illnesses. Health should be treated carefully because every human being's life depends on it. Knowing about a terminal illness could dramatically affect the emotions of individuals facing them with the possibility of dying. In addition, each individual must protect their identity and always claim its rights because its privacy will be at risk. To prevent this new development in medicine will be used incorrectly. One should inform everyone about the negative effects of these tests when genetic information is misused. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that these tests should not be performed. They might save thousands of patients with curable diseases.